Hi, my name is Chuck Huber. I'm known for the voices of Android 17 from Dragon Ball Z, but I'm also Android 13 and Super Android 17 and Garlic Jr. and Emperor Pilaf and Kibito and Master Shin and Mr. Shu and like 3 other minor characters. But then I also play Hiei in Yu Yu Hakusho, Dr. Stein in Soul Eater, and like 300 others.
Hi, I'm Ben Diskin. I'm a trained voice monkey. I go for everything. I'm Joseph Joestar from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Sai from Naruto, Bon from Seven Deadly Sins, and like a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
You didn't even do the show that we're in together.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm Boris Badenov in the remake of Rocky Bullwinkle.
Oh my God! Jesse really left an impression on you, huh?
Natasha? Are you Natasha? No, holy smokes! You're. Oh my. I was the squirrel. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm having a fangirl moment.
Are you?
A little bit.
That's like so iconic.
Also, the show was quite iconic.
Yes.
That was great.
I think, did any of you guys see the Rocky and Bullwinkle revival on Amazon? Wasn't it really good? I felt like a lot of people didn't know that it was happening because Ben and everyone else on the show did such a beautiful job. The impressions were fantastic. Brad Norman, excuse me.
Norman's great.
Sounds exactly like Bullwinkle. Everybody did such a good job, and Weird Al came on, and the animation was great.
I love
and
that.
The songs were great.
Oh my God.
Not enough people knew about it, which I hate it when that happens.
I hate it when that happens too.
Yeah.
That's PR's issue.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, PRs. Yeah, poopy PRs.
No, I'm just kidding. Not poopy. Sometimes it can be great.
Sometimes they can be great.
Yes.
Sometimes you get free shit. Yeah. Wait, are there children in this audience? Oh, sorry, I said it.
We call it swag.
Yeah, not shit.
Swag. Swag.
Swag.
There you go.
Not shit.
Oh my gosh, I'm having too much fun. This is Michelle Ruff. Hi, everyone. Do I have to name all my characters? Every single
Every
one.
single
We'll be
one.
here
But you have
for
to do
a
it
while.
lightning speed.
Well,
And you have to do it in each of their voices. Wow, which one's your guys' favorite?
I think it's...
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the... I bet you they do have. Who's your favorite Michelle Ruff character? Yell it out.
Ron from Angel Tales.
Rukia from Bleach.
There we go.
Luna from Sailor Moon. Sinan from Sword Art.
Green the Rabbit from Sonic the Hedgehog.
My kids love Bleach.
Do they?
Yeah, they love it. They watch. There's a new season.
Yeah.
Are you in that? Okay, good. Yeah, they love that
That's
show.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah,
I'm about to kick some booty.
Yes.
All right, well, we did get that kind of quick one-on-one time with Tara.
Like what?
I'm Tara Strong.
Oh.
Okay, I have a guess of favorites in this room. Maybe one girl talks a little bit like this. You have to shout it out.
Raven.
Okay, whatever.
Maybe there's a prettiest girl at the party. Maybe there's a kid whose wishes come true.
Timmy Turner.
Maybe there's a pun in here.
Harley.
Going hero. Maybe there's Pony Princess fans here? I think that's good.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Much as possible. But first, I want to start it off with a question of my own.
Sure.
Already, lots of voices. My question to start this off with, do you ever find yourself getting stuck in one?
Ooh, like in real life, like we walk around like Timmy
You never
Turner.
get stuck.
Get the fun stuff.
In real life, but also like maybe
That would be weird.
Oh, in audition.
Well, I will. I will say, I think sometimes people tend to pigeonhole you in a particular archetype, if you would say it that way. So I don't get stuck, but sometimes I think people who are in the casting realm might just see you in a certain way. That happens a lot.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't get stuck in character voices, but I was a teacher for 15 years, and I'd come home from teaching and be stuck in teacher mode. And so I'd be commanding the classroom in the kitchen, and my children and wife would be like, turn off the teacher voice. Although in high school one time at UIL one-act play competition, there was this outside like green space and then a cafeteria where all the actors were waiting, and this girl burst through the glass doors dramatically, and she was like, help, Rachel's stuck in character. So we had to go help Rachel not be Medea anymore.
And they never saw Rachel again.
That's right.
Wow. But now I want to be stuck in character.
I know.
Give me a venti. I wish there was more hazelnut.
I am the great and glorious Emperor Pilaf. I need a Big Mac.
I do voices all the time. I'm sure you guys do too. All the time. Like if you're friends with us, we're probably going to be doing voices all the time. But I don't think we get stuck in a particular character because, and forgive me, but I think I speak for most voice actors, we are symbiotic with these characters, and they're sort of their own entities and come out to play when it's their turn. So we don't confuse them, nor do we go to an audition where they say, hey, can you do Timmy Turner for this character? You say no, because that character exists, and we'll tweak it a little bit and make it specific to the world that we're working in, the character that we're becoming. So luckily, we break out of that, but that would be like a good movie plot that maybe we don't just go everywhere.
Don't do a good movie plot that we don't do.
Maybe we will do it! Would you guys see a movie if we're all walking around stuck in character?
Absolutely.
More importantly, do any of you want to invest in it?
I guess we're looking officially.
Listen, we can pitch it. We got the elevator pitch already. We're
Yeah,
ready to
we're
go.
done.
We could be shooting next week.
Pretty much. We're shooting right now, actually. Surprise, you're all in the movie.
Congratulations.
Ooh, I wasn't gonna say that, but she went right down. I was
Went
gonna
right
say it,
in.
but whatever. Okay.
Right. Fair enough.
All right, guys, let's bring this to the floor. I'm sure you all have questions for everyone up here. So if you have them, please raise your hand.
Okay, so Sarah Strong, and I just play like Gadget Boy and another voice statements number, and then in the inspector Gadget Bible on that website I was voicing, and then you get him underneath there was any connection.
I think there was, because the funny thing is my very first job when I was 13 was given to me by a woman named Marcia Goodman. And she was sort of a hero for me because she gave me my very first animation job that kickstarted my career. And I grew up in Toronto, and then I was 13, and then when I was 20 I moved to California, and even though I had been working on American productions there like Beetlejuice, Care Bears, My Pet Monster, stuff like that, in LA I was a new entity and people didn't really know who I was, and for a couple years I was eviction notice broke and thought I should probably go home. And then Marcia Goodman called me and said, do you want to be Heather in the new Gadget Boy and Heather with Maurice LaMarche? So she kind of saved me twice, so thank you, Marcia. She's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think they knew me from that world, but really it's all thanks to Marcia. Marcia.
Raise our hand.
Good question.
All right, yes, all the way in the back.
Me?
Yes.
Did you try out for the role of Harley Quinn in the original
No, I did
Suicide
not.
Squad?
Thank you. Great question.
You know, my first gift of being in the DC universe was playing Batgirl, and I was such a fan. I had collected any comic and things that I could, and that audition room was quite intimidating with both on camera and A-list voiceover people, and I was like, oh my gosh. And for some reason they gave it to me, and to sit beside Mark Hamill, and let's give it up for Kevin Conroy. And also watching Arlene, she was so brilliant, and the character was created for her. There would not be a Harley Quinn without her. They were watching her on General Hospital, and they're like, let's give the Joker a sidekick. So she came before comics, and they invented it for her, and it will always be her role, and she gave birth to that character for sure. When they went in to do the games, they wanted something different, and we all know as voice actors, we're often not the first, we often not the last, and we always feel like kind of hurt that we don't get to play a part that we played before. And she was so gracious in press. She's like, if I ever thought of anyone to fill those shoes, it would be Tara Strong, which I thought was very, very sweet, and I really loved her a lot. So I did an audition. They just brought me in knowing that I had been in her world, because they wanted a different voice but her essence, and I think thankfully they just trusted me with that. But with that said, I was also terrified to take over her role, because as you guys know, when you step into a beloved, I'm sure you all have, you have certainly witnessed you do that, character that people already love, it's like terrifying. I hope they like what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you come up with the Raven voice?
I was really. Oh wait, that's not.
Go for it, girl.
You weren't in LA, right? Were you? Were you living somewhere else back then? Am I remembering wrong?
I don't know. I've been in LA since like
No, I think she just says voice.
1996.
Oh, 96.
From the way.
Okay, well, my audition for Raven, I'll say this really quickly because I want to get to these other super talented people on here, is
No.
Take it.
I thought I was gonna book Starfire because we all get character descriptions before the audition and drawings, and it said Starfire was grown-up Bubbles, and I'm like, oh well, I'm grown-up Bubbles, like I'm gonna book this one. And also, I was already doing 5 other kind of tragic teenagers: Batgirl, Sharina Wicket, Kylie, Fillmore, Ingrid Third from Fillmore, and I'm like, how do I make this girl different? And I didn't really know before the audition, and I went in and I just relied on my acting and just visualized what I was doing. But I realized partway through the audition that it sounded too much like Batgirl, because my own voice was pretty much Batgirl, and it was the same team of people at Warner Brothers. And I left, and as I was passing the booth where they were, I turned to Andrea Romano and I said, can I try one more thing? And it was like just a universe shot that said, just to have this weird little role behind everything that I said. And I hadn't pre-planned it, but everyone looked at each other and they said, that's Raven. So she probably just came down and used my body.
So I brought this. I was gonna get Priscilla to sign it, but she wanted $80, so John Romita signed it for only 30. But being that I'm a fan of rock and roll, and you said you're from Canada, I like old school stuff like Neil Young and Rush. Have any of the old school rock guys today have any influence on you?
That's a good question. You guys could all answer this, because we all come from music too, right?
Sure.
I mean, most voiceover people, I just had a session for a singing thing. I thought, they said we don't really want singers, but I'm like, you're out of luck because all voiceover people sing.
I'm only hired to do character parts in musicals that require good acting.
But isn't it fun?
Yeah,
It
the
is.
musicals
Yeah,
are the
I mean,
greatest.
my whole life is a soundtrack. Like, from childhood, I can remember connecting songs with like moments in my life. So,
And isn't it your favorite thing to sing on shows?
Well, when I do get the opportunity,
Yeah,
it's
it's
fun
so
to
fun.
sing in character.
Yeah, so fun.
Yes.
And you're a singer,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Oh my God, no.
No?
No, I'm the one who's like, if there's a singing role and this character's supposed to sing, unless it's Happy Birthday off key, please do not have me play this character. And
I think we need a demonstration.
Right, audience?
Yeah.
Do not listen to this man. No, yeah, it is. That is my nightmare.
Please sing Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, that's.
Now sing it as your character from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Happy birthday, dear Boris. Happy birthday to me.
That was so good.
Yeah.
But I do think that musicians have all sort of been part of our you know, growing up, and like you say, you know, a song is part of your story and they go into your memory baskets, right? When you hear a song that's like, oh, that reminded me of that time. And I loved classic rock and roll as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like I went to a Grateful Dead concert and
You did?
yeah.
That's one I missed. I wish. Yeah, I loved it. It's a good one.
Great. I'm going to take a pause from the audience questions that I do want to get people involved in.
No, do it all.
Let's start down here with Ed.
Sure.
What was your first voiceover gig?
My very first voiceover gig, not anime voiceover gig, but my first voiceover gig, strangely enough connected to the gaming world, I did a TV voiceover for Arrow the Acrobat on Super Nintendo. That was my very first.
Wow.
I recorded, I had to say, Arrow the Acrobat, bite me. That was my whole, and I made like $15,000.
Hey! Wow.
As a young baby actor.
That's crazy.
My first anime role was Garlic Jr. And it happened because a buddy of mine came into rehearsals at a theater company. He was like, you should go audition for this Dragon Balls thing. And I was like, Dragon Balls? That sounds like porn. And he was like, no, it's Japanese anime. And I was like, okay, so that's definitely a little sketchy. And I went and auditioned for Chris Sabin. He was like, yeah, man, can you do this, like, alien dude? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I'm going to push you into the dead zone. He was like, that was awesome. Can you record it right now? And I was like, you didn't record the audition? He's like, no, I got episodes to turn in. I really got to get this. You got the part, man. I was like, okay, this is a scam. This is not how normal auditions work. But I was glad I stuck with it because it turned out.
The first voiceover audition? For role. It would have been some kind of commercial when I was like 6 years old for like Burger King or something along those lines. And I have no
So
memory of
cute
it.
how you're pretending to not remember. You probably had to sing and you don't want to do it for everybody.
That's what it was. Yes, Burger King is awesome.
What was your first, animation?
Oh, animation, it was this, okay, back in the 90s, there was this series of movies called Problem Child with John Ritter. You actually remember that? Okay. They made an animated series about it. It was, and they did not bring the original actor back who played the kid in the movies. They brought me in, and that was my very first time doing any kind of animation work. I was all by myself because they wanted to keep the kid separate from the grown-ups, so we could, focus in. And also apparently because all the adults were telling non-stop inappropriate jokes behind the scenes, and they didn't want the kid to hear it. But for season 2, I got to record with them, and I got to hear all the dirty jokes. I didn't understand any of them, but it was great.
That's true. Back then it was like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Was for both of you, actually, I have a question for them because I'm taking over the panel as I took everyone's water.
Perfect.
I want to know what part touched your heart the most that you've done.
Has anyone seen Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah.
I played the character that touched the most hearts. Shao Tucker. You see how the energy rained out of the room? You guys all hate Shao Tucker, right? He touched a lot of fetch.
Was he a villain?
He's Rolling Stone did a top 10 worst villains of all time.
And he was on the
in
list?
any genre.
Wow.
He's number 7.
Dang, that's pretty cool. Yeah, mine would be Chi from Chobits. It's an anime from like the early 2000s. Probably one of the first main characters that I played in an anime. And she was just so sweet, and so she's a Persicom. Basically, it's like what's happening in real life now with robots taking over our world. But this was like 20 years ago. But she comes into her own, and I think learns how to love. And there was just something very sweet and innocent about it that I just loved. I love that. Yeah.
For me, there's a character on a show called Agretzko, which is a Netflix anime. It's basically if Hello Kitty had a shitty office job that she hates. And screams
I'm so happy I'm not the only person that said shit today.
Yay! Big Brothers, activate. Anyway, it is literally just me in my 20s and every incredibly cringy thing that I ever did, I swear this character does. So I spent the entire time in the booth going, oh my God, okay. And it's just my regular speaking voice, so it's very, very, unfortunately personal to my heart. But, yeah, that's the one.
That's funny. I love that.
Oh, I did. I said Shout Tucker,
He
but
said
it was in
something
an
really
evil
weird
way.
and inappropriate.
No.
Tara didn't tell us.
Oh, well, I have many. My favorite job I ever did was Little Mermaid 2 because I was such a big fan of the original. Like, when my dad passed away, like 7 years ago, the poster from The Little Mermaid was still in my childhood bedroom. Like, I used to run around impersonating her, and I got in the studio, and I shook her hand, and I burst into tears. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I just loved you for so long. And I got to sing with her in the studio, and I really could have died the next day. And they animated my face on this mermaid, and it was awesome. Did any of you guys see this movie? Yeah, it was such a cute sequel. And Raven is very magical and special to me. Like, I feel very, very connected to her. I feel very connected to Bubbles. I feel very connected to Batgirl. I feel like Harley was my therapy.
I think it's like this is like the classic example of how actors, like, really every single character we do, I think there has to be a connection.
Right, or else it wouldn't translate.
work.
If
It
we were
wouldn't be
just reading,
truthful.
you guys wouldn't care. But because we sort of become these characters
Right.
and share the energy with you, which, by the way, is honestly why we love coming to cons, because it's your chance and we see you sharing your energy back at us, and we're so grateful that you're here, that you're giving us love, like
Yes.
seeing how, like, that just this beautiful, feeling of sharing all this love for these characters. Like, thank you guys for coming out.
I always say the fandom is what really makes this world go round.
Of course.
Because without you guys loving it, there would be nothing, really. It would just go into the ether. Which I know there's lots of things that do that. So, sorry, Ben.
Oh yeah, no, I said it would just be a bunch of head cases in a padded room yelling at nobody. So, thank you for watching.
And the other thing is that the sort of success of our careers happen later in our careers. So we've been doing anime voiceover for a decade or more, and then it became very, very popular. In the early 2000s, the conventions were not this big, so it's just continued to be a giant blessing to all of us. So we all feel like we won the lottery from this side of the table, I'm sure.
Oh. Well, I got brought into a studio to do. Well, I don't know if I can talk about this.
There is a child right there, and
Yes.
she's already heard us swears.
Well, let's just say, well, it's not swag. Let's just say I was asked to do a very inappropriate animated anime that I was not told that that's what it was when I was hired. And I literally, it was like, okay, they rolled the first scene, and I'm like, what is this? And I literally walked out. I said, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm not doing
I
this.
did it. I did that job for her.
Stepped right in.
Is that what you meant, or did you mean what location? I definitely cannot share the most inappropriate because child. But I will say there was one inappropriate anime, shocking. And sometimes the translation of these things are odd. And she was this really cute character, and the whole time it was just about intergalactic characters. Tekkaman Blade, anyone know this? And there was a scene where the character is like in the sky, beautiful, and she's like, about the party in your pants? I can't come. And then the drawing was like this, I'm sorry. I was like, what does this really mean? But unlike you, I took the cash and ran.
You were like, oh, I think mine was way worse than that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which is why I did it. Next.
I mean, I fortunately have never had any of those experiences. Never been asked to do any of the type of stuff, and I won't do it. That's about it.
I'll do yours too.
Okay, great. That was a mean impression.
I'll do whatever the directors ask me to.
Now
do
you
a
know
lot.
the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah,
Good guys, bad guys.
They do a lot for us in casting us, and if they're like, "Hey, I got this medium-sized character in this, NC-17 anime," and I'll go, "Oh, all right, I'll do it." But I always list myself as Todd Habercorn. So.
Oh my god, that's hysterical, John.
I also just started the rumor last weekend that it's been me mispronouncing Chris Sabat's name all these years, telling all the fans it's Sabat. It's Chris Sabat.
Does Habercorn do that?
He does.
On purpose, I'm sure.
What,
I am about you.
for anyone who'd like to answer, what is the character you had the most fun playing or most enjoyed?
Question.
Well, Android 17 is very enjoyable because the only note I ever get is to relax more and do less acting. So I just basically have to just be dead inside. But Emperor Pilaf makes us laugh the most. Because he makes funny noises.
For me, it might be Venom from Spectacular Spider-Man. He's like my absolute all-time favorite Marvel character, villain or hero otherwise, and just getting to step into those shoes was really, really cool. That was me.
That's cool.
I had a lot of fun playing Miss Minutes. She's so fun. We had way too much fun doing Powerpuff Girls and Fairly Odd Parents. And also I had a lot of fun doing Drawn Together.
Oh, I bet that was a blast.
I was doing that at the same time that I was doing Rugrats, and my ex-mother-in-law was in town and she wanted to come to work with me. And so first we went to Rugrats, and then I'm like, just so you know, the next job is not Rugrats. I played Black Chick's tongue for my mom over the phone, and she's like, I'm like, what? She's like, it's so beautiful. I'm like, are you listening to the lyrics? But it was so much fun to like sing in character and say weird things, crazy things,
Bad words. Yeah. Swag. Also, there's a dog here and I just want to play with it. The dog. See? Right there. Hello, baby.
I will play with that dog.
Yes, I will beat you to it. God, it's always so hard to pick a favorite child, But fun-wise, I do a lot of looping, which is like post-production stuff where you go in after, after a TV show or film is shot. And it's kind of like a theater improv troupe where you're in the room with a group of people and you are literally like improvising dialogue into people's moving mouths on the screen. And I can't tell you how many sessions I've had that have just been so much fun. Like I've done a bunch of DreamWorks movies, Disney stuff. And it's just as like getting to work in that kind of an environment with like people who are just so creative and so talented. It's just a blast. It doesn't feel like work. It's like play.
I love loop group sessions.
Yeah,
They're really fun.
it's like playing.
They put all of us, all these crazy people in a room together
on
all
a
day.
stage in front of a microphone, and they're actually recording us, and it's gonna make it to the screen. Like it's just.
I have a confession. What? Sometimes I sneak in my kids' names.
Oh, for sure.
Like if there's a group scene and we're like, get to the bus, I'm like, Sammy, get to the bus.
Totally.
know?
I do that too. Except I sneak in other names. I'll sneak your name in next
Okay, I'm
time.
gonna put your name in next time. We're gonna put all your names in next time. Leave your name here. Just write it down.
I was curious, if you go back to before you were getting gigs and you were successful, who were the people or the characters that you would watch that made you go, I want to do that?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean, mean, for me, it was watching Dragon Ball on TV, because that was back in the days when it was the Canadian cast up north. And I just wanted to be in the show where everybody screamed at the top of their lungs. That was so cool. And yeah, that was kind of the first thing where I was like, I think I could do that. I bet I could scream real loud and do a bunch of loud kiais and all that stuff, and wanted to do martial arts because of Dragon Ball. So like the whole, yeah, I would say that's probably where it started for me, for really pursuing this in earnest.
Did you know you wanted to do voiceover, or did you want to do on camera too?
I did on camera.
Yeah.
On camera, it made me realize how much I wanted to do voiceover. Yeah, because that is personally very demanding, and also like when people recognize you and you're a kid, they treat you real bad. It's not fun. So like, oh yeah, did not like it. But like voiceover, nobody knows who you are unless you come to a panel like this and say, "Hi, I'm that guy." Otherwise, people have no idea, and I like that.
I didn't know that I wanted to do voiceover. I knew I wanted to be singer, dancer, actress, like at 4 or 5 years old. And my parents didn't really know anything about it, so I just kept bugging them to get me into that for a long time. But I did like watching the Flintstones a lot, and the Jetsons. I thought we'd have flying cars by now.
We kind of do.
Well, they're coming, so
Yeah.
but I meant like by the time I was 16, and I'm a little older than that. And I definitely did impressions, like I did funny voices. And then when I was 13, I got my agent and I booked Hello Kitty and a show on camera with Mr. T. So I got to do both at the same time at 13, which I really loved. I loved doing both, actually, yeah. But I get what you're saying. In voiceover, you don't have to wait for hair and makeup or lighting, and yeah. And also, I said this before y'all came in here, voiceover people are the sweetest humans ever. And a lot of times when you're an actor, there can be people that are not so nice in certain areas, but I think I've met maybe one person in voiceover that I thought, oh, they aren't very nice, but they never worked again after that session where they weren't very nice.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's such an amazing community. Obviously. I mean, look at these people. Except you.
I know.
I agree 100%.
You have to answer the question. Oh, what was the question?
I was so like wrapped up in
What inspired you to do voices?
Well, oh gosh, it's interesting because I wasn't really thinking about doing voiceover work. I was an improv theater actor, and I was introduced to doing voiceover really in Chicago. I was doing like scratch tracks for ad agency, and I didn't really like think about it until I got out to LA, and I was like, oh my God, there's so much going on out here, like, and then getting into like when I first started. Does anybody know Mona Marshall? Does anybody know? She was like kind of, I would say, my mentor, and she really kind of took me under her wing and like was so kind and patient with me, and I always thought she was just so talented. Like, just even now to this day, she just is so incredible as a human being and as an actress. So I would say in the LA world, she would be my first person that I was like, I want to be like her.
When were you in Chicago?
90 to 96.
That's when I was there.
You were?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were you at Second City?
No, I went to Goodman School of Drama, but then I did Marvin's Room at the Goodman. I did
Oh, wow.
Richard II at the Goodman. I did Awake and Sing at Steppenwolf.
That's amazing.
And then we had a little theater company called the Dog Boys.
The Dog Boys.
We were long form improv, like Harold.
Oh God, that's so hard. Long form improv is so hard. I did that too at Improv Olympic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was great.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to see Too Much Light Makes a Baby Go Blind?
I did not. Were you in that?
No, but it's a great show.
They're actually still doing long
I
form
may
improv.
have seen it.
You had to roll dice to see how much you'd pay for the ticket.
Oh.
So you'd
Wow,
roll it.
that's awesome.
That's how much you paid. Anyway, I was a theater guy. I never thought I was going to do voiceover. As a matter of fact, I did voiceover for years before I realized I was doing voiceover. It wasn't until fans started finding it important that I was like, wait, I should pay more attention to this.
I love the fans for that reason. I just want to say, like, for all y'all that did so much anime, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you do an original character, you go first. And it's covered by the union, and you know, it's less labor intensive. And a lot of times anime, sometimes they don't pay attention to union stuff. You're playing a million different characters. There isn't always residuals. You're matching vocal mouth movements from a character from another language, and you're bringing the acting. And you're right. I think it wasn't till cons that people started appreciating how effing great anime actors really are. You guys deserve all those kudos, for real, for real.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, for real.
For realsies.
For real.
One last question. You did this.
So going back to the foil stuff, is there anyone that had an impact on you that you grew up with in the last impressions that you had to take to the summit? Then you go like,
I'd have to say it was the Monty Python. We used to,
Oh, yeah.
my brothers and I used to do all the different Monty Python sketches. We'd re-perform them. So it was mostly being crazy British dudes. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, honestly, for me in voiceover training, that's probably one of the notes that I would get from many different coaches and teachers is to take, you can draw a character from a character that exists and make it your own, and that creates a new character. And actually that goes back to what Tara was saying. It's like she can create a completely new character from the inspiration of a character that a producer likes, or whatever the case is. So that happens, I think, a lot across the board in voiceover.
My voice for Emperor Pilaf is my bad imitation of Edith Bunker from
There you
All
go.
in the Family.
Awachi!
Awachi!
Suddenly you're a short alien.
It's great. It's perfect.
For me, it's probably Frank Welker. I grew up watching every show, and he was in every single show. Fantastic performer, brilliant with creature noises too, and he's one of those guys who just had this career that just kept going and going until he decided, he's like, you know, I'll only do reprisals. I'm at that point in my life, I don't need to keep doing new characters, and like, that's what I want. I want to just keep doing this until I'm, you know, way older than I am now. Yeah.
He's such a nice guy too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, June Foray was obviously trailblazer. I was always pretty cognizant of paying attention to all actors on camera and voiceover, like Meryl Streep, like anyone else, you know. It was just, I think what you're saying is true. We're kind of sponges, and we take influence from everybody we hear, whether they're performers or just regular people. When I did Rugrats, I had just got off a flight with a screaming baby, and I just did that baby while I was in the room. We actually had to stop tape because I made someone in the studio lactate.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Sorry. I'm just trying to make this panel as weird as possible.
Success.
Okay, guys. So, sorry they didn't tell me our top 15 but it seems like you guys had a great time. I had a great time. Did you guys have a great time?
Yes, and we're all going to be at our tables after, so if you didn't get to a question, I don't know about you guys, maybe not you, maybe you're not nice, but we will all answer questions.
I may not be nice, but the answer will be hilarious.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
for
everybody.
coming. Thank you.